What happened to the American dream? It came true. I wanted to get on camera as soon as possible. I told myself I was going to shave before I did this one, but I really wanted to get on camera while I'm still honestly shell-shocked. Like, shell-shocked from the end of this movie. Easy Rider. I saw it once many, many years ago, and I really don't remember that much. But holy shit. I'm wearing my... Oh, sorry, wrong side. I'm wearing my hog shirt. I am a member. I on purpose. I'm not wearing the unpaid shirt. That doesn't mean I'm not unpaid. Wow. Okay, I gotta like get my I literally just finished watching the movie like 10 minutes ago, so I gotta get my bearings and be like, okay, the ending. Wow. A couple of disclaimers first that I keep forgetting to do. These videos are completely unedited. I don't edit them, and I try not to reshoot any of these. I did have a faux pas in the last one, Braveheart, where somehow the recording stopped, and I had to film the last like 15 minutes or something like that extra. But these are normally unedited and unfiltered. So if I say fuck, excuse me, but these are unedited, and spoilers will happen. Spoilers don't always happen, but especially if I'm reviewing a movie, I'm going to talk about it, which means spoilers are going to happen. So check the list of movies below. I've changed the way I did it so that you can actually see what movies I actually give spoilers for, what movies I quote, and what movies that I simply just mention. So if you see a list of the movies and it's just in the mention, don't worry about it. I'm not going to give a spoiler, so you can watch it. It's fine. Pay attention more closely to, if you don't like spoilers, pay attention more closely to the header spoilers. I will give spoilers away. There's a couple of notes I made after watching some of my videos. I realized I keep touching my nose. And I'm like, stop touching your nose. Okay, so I cut my like the unibrow, but I don't trim the, I know that's TMI, but I gotta stop touching my nose. I say brilliant too much, do I? I think I do, especially in the Shawshank one. I say brilliant far too many times. I changed the way I do the list description, and I'm not going to do that. I'm fine with that. Wow. Easy Rider. Like I said, I saw this years ago, and it really didn't make an impact. I didn't really quite know what I was watching, kind of. And I had this preconceived notion that, you know, older films are not my thing, and I don't know why I had that preconceived notion, but I did. And I am literally, I was getting to like a little more than halfway through, and I was like, I love the fact that a 1969 movie can still blow my mind. I let go of everything that I thought I knew and like rewatch this, like I said before, like with new eyes, like I have to do with there I go touching my nose. That I have to do with Forrest Gump. But I did that with this too, because I hadn't seen this in forever, and I just went, you know what? Watch it with new eyes. Let go of everything you think you know. Watch it again. And the only thing I really remember from watching it the first time is Dennis Hopper getting killed at the end. I did not know they both got fucking killed at the end. Like that blew my mind, and I'm still like honestly trying to recover from that. Wow. So it is in the book. Unfortunately, this is one of the handful of movies that in the book it asks for something that's not on the poster. So this is not on the poster. It's not something I can scratch off Easy Rider. Although after watching it, I'm like, why is this not on the poster over, some of these Charlie Chaplin films or whatever. I'm sorry for Charlie Chaplin fans. I know that there are plenty out there. Charlie Chaplin is not for me. I'm going to have to watch those movies and try to let go of that. But it's just not, it's not my style. It's not my style. Jim Carrey, early Jim Carrey is not a lot of people's style. And I totally get that. And that's okay. He appeals to who he appeals to, and he doesn't appeal to who he doesn't appeal to. And that's, Chaplin as well. So anyway, this is number 9, an independent film. Easy Rider, 1969 is the year of release. Aspect ratio 1.85:1. Running time an hour 35. Genre drama, rated R. Starring Peter Fonda, Dennis Hopper, and Jack Nicholson. I have a lot to say about that. Directed by Dennis Hopper. Produced by, and I didn't know this, Peter Fonda produced this, and Bob Rafelson, but it says he's uncredited. On IMDb, it says Rafelson is uncredited. I know he's a big-time producer, a movie guy, and to have him produce this, I'm shocked that he's uncredited. Written by Dennis Hopper, Peter Fonda, and Terry Southern. I don't know who Terry Southern is. Music by, okay, so here's another one like Reservoir Dogs where there's no soundtrack. And I thought that was really innovative. This last time I watched Reservoir Dogs, I was like, wow, that's really innovative. But there are other films that have done that, apparently, because Easy Rider was made way before Reservoir Dogs, and there is no soundtrack. It's just a bunch of, and wonderfully picked and timed songs from the time, music from the time. I mean, it's fantastic. It opens up with Steppenwolf's Pusher, and then Magic, or is it Magic Carpet Ride? No. I can't remember now. I literally just watched. There's so much music in this. It's fantastic. If you love the music from the 60s and 70s, actually this is before the 70s. It was made in 69. So if you love the music of the 60s, I mean, great music in this. Awards received. The Cannes Film Festival, Dennis Hopper, Best First Work. Absolutely. I mean, wow. I didn't realize that Dennis Hopper was a director, and for him to do this, he has a very interesting style, and I know I'm assuming that he had in mind how he wanted to do this, and it's not like anything I've ever seen. The back and forth scene cuts, the quick scene cuts before it goes from one scene to the other is very interesting. We're on the road, we're in the restaurant, and then it goes bleep, 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 and then it goes into the scene. I've never seen that done before. I find it interesting. I wanted to look up the other awards because there was another award. I didn't have space to actually write it all down. There was another award I wanted to mention for Jack Nicholson's sake, because Jack Nicholson is fucking amazing in this movie. National Society of Film Critics Award, 1970 winner, Best Supporting Actor, Jack Nicholson. I have more to say about that later. Dennis Hopper also got a special award from them as well. So that was the awards. Why did you choose this particular film? I'm a biker. And my dad was a motorcycle mechanic since he was a teenager, I think, and he worked on motorcycles as long as he could. Near the end of his life, he got Parkinson's, and he was unable to work on motorcycles, but literally he worked on motorcycles almost all his life. And I kind of grew up with motorcycles around the house and that motorcycle culture and, the bikers. And so I wanted to watch. I had seen this a long time ago and was like, why didn't I ever buy that? What was right or wrong about it? And when I realized that the poster didn't have any independent films, and I looked up online, like, what are the best independent films out there, Easy Rider was on the list, and I'm like, I have to own that. I have to own that. And I don't really remember the movie. So the last time I saw it was before I became a biker myself, before I started writing and really getting into that mindset and culture. So watching it this time, I had a new appreciation for why Dennis Hopper made it and what the whole story was about. The other reason why I chose this is my dad loved this movie so much that at the end, Dennis Hopper, flips off the guys in the truck that are driving next to him, and that quick scene of him on the bike and with his middle finger up, looking at. My dad took a poster of that. He bought a poster of that, and he had it, and he literally glazed it on top of an all-wood coffee table. My stepmom currently has it, and I hope I don't want any. I'm not here to wish any ill on anybody, but I hope that if she leaves this world before I do, that she leaves that coffee table to me, because I would absolutely love to have that in my house, not just because of Easy Rider, but because my dad made it. It was so important for my dad that I would love to have that and keep that as a definitely as a family heirloom. Have you seen this before? Like I said, yeah, I saw it once. Okay, so I haven't filled out the entire book because I was like, I really haven't seen the movie, so I can't really answer these questions. So I might be able to answer these with you. Would you recommend this film? Why or why not? Yes, you know what? I would recommend this film, but honestly, not to everyone. If you don't like, there's a lot of drugs in this film. This film is about biker culture. This film actually has a lot to subtextually say about America at the time, 1969. So I think that if you can't get into subtext, if you can't get into other culture, if you're not a biker and you can't get into other culture, then this is not the movie for you. No, I mean, there's a lot of people I would not recommend this movie to. People who love romantic rom-coms and fun movies and action movies, I would not. If that's what you're going for, maybe this is not the movie for you. So I would recommend it to. I mean, I think. Yes. So it's hard to articulate that I wish everybody had the mind to watch this movie, because I think it's great. 1969, and I'm really like, wow. There are very few movies that are that old that I really, really like. I really like this one, and I wish that I could. What sticks? What's hard for me to articulate is I wish I could recommend this to everyone, but I know that not everyone would like it, and so I wouldn't. That's the only reason why I wouldn't. So I can fill that in later. Which character were you most able to identify with or connect with in which way? Best line or memorable quote. Okay. Which character was it? Peter Fonda. So some people know him as Captain America because Dennis Hopper's character, Billy, only refers to him as Captain America. You never actually hear him call him Wyatt, which his name is Wyatt. So I identify with Wyatt's character / Captain America because he's chill, he's cool with everybody. He tries to find the good in everyone, and he's a biker because he wants to be free. He's not a biker because he's a rebel. And Billy is absolutely a rebel. Billy is, I mean, he's absolutely a rebel, and so that's the stark contrast between these two characters. Wyatt just wants to be free and chill and like experienced the road and blah blah blah. But Billy he's a rebel. He's crazy. I have more to say about that. He's crazy. Best line or memorable quote. Okay, so I hadn't seen this movie in years and years and years, so I never would have remembered any of the quotes, any of the lines for the movie. But while I was watching it, there was a couple of lines that really, like, boom, stood out for me. That was a UFO beaming back at you. Jack Nicholson, that was a UFO beaming back at you. When they give him the joint, it's fantastic. That's not my best Jack Nicholson, but that line, I heard him say it, and I was like, oh my god, I love that. I have more to say about that later. What was the other quote that I wrote down? If God did not exist, it would be necessary to invent him. That's a great line. There were some good lines. I'll probably talk about them later contextually. But were you surprised by the ending? What would you different? Absolutely. You saw that. I was literally shell shocked by the end. Wow. We'll talk about the end later. I really I'm still. Do you usually prefer to watch indie films over Hollywood big studios? Why or why not? I don't go out of my way to watch indie films, but I also don't shy away from them at all. I don't care. If it's indie or if it's big studio, I don't care. I'll watch your film. I don't shy away from indie like, I have to be honest, I do. It takes a long time for me to sit and watch a musical. And more often than not, I love it. And I'm like, why did it take me so long to watch that? So it's not that I don't watch musicals. I just have to be in the right mindset to sit and watch a musical. And the same goes for old Hollywood black and white stuff. It's hard for me to do that. Although, Psycho is amazing. Fantastic. And still, they could make, that holds up today. I don't care that it's black and white. It's brilliant. So it's hard for me to sit down and watch a black and white or an old spaghetti western or, a musical. It is not hard for me to sit down and watch an indie. I don't care that your film is indie. Who cares? It's a film. It's still a film. Anything else you'd like to add? I have plenty to say. John Cusack asked for the craziest, most unpredictable script you can find. He got being John Malkovich. I saw that once and I don't really remember it. So one of these days I'll have to watch that again. Anyway, so I'm going to put the book down. I have lots of notes, and a lot of these are quick. So because I've only seen this movie literally twice, and this time I didn't remember the last time. So a lot of these this is a good test of can I take a brand new movie that I really haven't seen, and be able to see all this stuff that I want to see. Absolutely. So the first thing I wanted to say is, before I watched this movie, there goes my nose. Before I watched this movie again, I remember, I'm going to talk about drugs, so that's definitely a disclaimer. There's a lot of drug use in this film. I am going to talk about drugs. I am drinking a gin fizz. There are movies that people always talk about being under the influence while watching them. It's important to the one that's the most famous is smoking pot and watching Pink Floyd's The Wall, or smoking pot and watching The Wizard of Oz while listening to The Dark Side of the Moon. I had always heard to smoke pot and watch Easy Rider, or do mushrooms and watch Easy Rider. I am allergic to THC, so unfortunately I can't touch it. I would much rather, I have more to say about this later, but I would much rather do something that's natural like pot than, drink alcohol, because alcohol is very damaging and it's man-made, whereas pot is plant-based. last video I talked about my friend who does a podcast, David Devora. He does a very nice one on plant medicine. And I would think that THC plant is part of that whole realm of plant medicine, and the plant is here for a reason, and it affects us a certain way for a reason, and it's natural. So things like pot or mushrooms, I mean, I would not be opposed to any of that, ayahuasca or things like that. I would not be opposed to any of that. I would rather that over alcohol. Unfortunately, like I said, I am allergic to THC, so I can't do any of that. But I did have a couple of drinks before I started this movie and watched this movie. The one thing I will say that I do that I've heard recommended is like getting drunk and watching Arthur with oh my God, with Dudley Moore and Liza Minnelli. Oh my God, I love that movie so much. And yes, I do like having a couple of drinks before I start it, and it's a hoot. It's a hoot. Do I have to have a couple of drinks? Absolutely not. I mean, there are plenty of times in my life that I went months without drinking. I don't need alcohol. I don't use alcohol. I just enjoy alcohol sometimes. So anyway, so let's move on to the actual notes. I love their bikes. You don't see their bikes for a couple of scenes. Like they buy, I mean, the opening is they buy drugs and they sell them to somebody, and then and then they pick up their bikes and they're like hiding the money in the bikes and then going cross country from LA to Florida. So I love their bikes. Oh my God. The bikes that I have are, I have a 2019 Heritage Classic. They're both Harleys. Hence the, I keep pushing the wrong side. Hence the hog. They're both Harleys. I have a 19 Heritage Classic, which has these big bags on the side, and it's more for like touring. It's more for like going long distances. And then I have an 02 Deuce, which is more like, I would say, these bikes in this movie, a little more like these. It's not a chopper. These are choppers. Well, I don't know if Hopper's bike in this movie is considered a chopper, but absolutely Peter Fonda. Peter Fonda's bike in this is absolutely a chopper, and it's one of the most recognizable choppers because of this film. My bike is not a chopper. It's just it's almost all stock. I bought it used, and it's beautiful. But anyway, there's a big difference between, especially back then, there's a big difference between a bike like theirs that has no bags, where they're putting all their stuff on like a pillion, or they're like strapping their stuff down, whereas my Heritage Classic had these big bags on the side that are covered with leather, that you can put stuff into. So if I were to do a cross-country trip like they're doing, I would do it with my Heritage Classic that has the bags, not the other one that doesn't have bags. But they're doing it like raw style. Like I'm assuming they have like maybe one change of clothes, if that, something to lay on, and that's it. So they're they're roughing it, like really roughing it. But I would love to own a chopper one of these days. I mean, their choppers are awesome, and I would love to own one at some time. One thing I noticed, like right away, like I said, this is the first time I saw it since I've been a biker. One thing I noticed right away is the difference in their handlebars. So Peter Fonda, he definitely has a chopper, which means that big extension of the front wheel, and then he's got these handlebars that come up and kind of do an ape, but he's basically riding like this, which I've never done before, riding with your hands like almost like above your shoulders, which I think you're not allowed to do in California anymore. You can't have your handlebars above your shoulders anymore. It has to be either equal or lower to, and I'm in California. And then Dennis Hopper, completely different, has this small, really small, like maybe 3 foot, 2.5, 3 foot handlebars, straight out in front of him. And he's like, and it's just a straight bar. And I've never ridden a bike with that kind of a handlebar either. I just find it very interesting. They're different styles of handlebars. I would never want Hopper's style of handlebar, but Fonda's style, I wouldn't mind trying that. I mean, that'd be kind of fun, especially on a chopper. I did notice also that a lot of times I keep making noise with my pen. I noticed in the film a lot of time. I've only been riding since 2019, so 4 years. And I always, when I park, put my kickstand out and turn the wheel in, and then lean my bike. And I noticed that a lot of times they're turning their wheel out. And I don't know what the difference is. I'm going to have to try to find out what the difference is, but it's very notable that they turn their wheel out and then the kickstand. I don't know what the difference is. Like I said, I've only been riding for 4 years, and I don't have a lot of friends who ride. So it's not like I'm So here's the thing. Never in my life, in my entire life, 42 years on this earth, never in my life have I experienced the automatic introduction into a culture like being a biker. As soon as I was on that bike, as soon as I was riding and on the highway on the bike, it didn't matter. It didn't matter anything about me. It didn't matter my race, my age, my sex. It didn't matter my sexual preference. It didn't matter. Nothing mattered. You automatically have a camaraderie with other bikers. This is important for the movie. Yes, this is important. There is a biker culture nowadays, especially. I don't know if you have ever been on the highway and seen other bikers go by each other, but when you're going by each other and you're on the bike, it's customary to give I can't get it in the, a peace sign down. I can't get that. I'm fucking up getting it in the camera. A peace sign to somebody else coming the other way. And I think somebody told me at that one point, because I never rode with my dad. I was never on a bike with my dad. I asked him countless times to teach me how to ride, and he would say, "Don't learn from me, you'll get all bad habits." But that left me nowhere. That left me, what do I do? How do I learn to ride a bike? A friend of mine, Kim, she won't mind me mentioning her on here because she's no longer with us. I met her years ago. She was a coworker of mine, and we almost instantly became friends. And we weren't like best friends where we talked to each other all the time, but every time we did talk, there was a connection there. And she had gotten a cancer that nobody knew anything about. It was practically a brand new cancer. They were actually doing research on her as she was going through her cycle of cancer. And she had started riding a motorcycle and said it saved her life. And when I got divorced in early 2019, she literally told me, "It will save your life." And she paid for me to go on to get my motorcycle license. She paid for me to go on a course, the CHP course, California Highway Patrol course, to teach you how to ride a motorcycle safely, and got my motorcycle license and got my first bike. And if it weren't for her, I wouldn't be riding. And I swear, if it weren't for her, I probably wouldn't be here on this earth, because I was going through a lot of horrible depression, and that bike saved my life. Absolutely saved my life. And like I was talking, and she died not long after I got my bike. But I will always remember her, and she'll always have a place in my heart because of it. And like I said, like automatically, you are a part of this culture. And it doesn't matter anything about you personally. You are now a biker. Was it always like that? I don't know. But this movie has a lot to say about the culture of being a biker and then not being a biker, and how in this day and age, in 1969, it was not accepted. Absolutely not. And he has, and there are scene after scene after scene that this whole movie is about that. It's not about the drugs that they sold, the money they're trying to get across country. It's about the culture of being a biker versus America, which is why I used the quote in the beginning. It's amazing. Hopper did a great job. In the beginning, and part of that, he does, like I said, he does scene after scene after scene about this commentary about being a biker. So bikers are looked at as basically being like back in '69, and in this film, he is making a point of saying bikers were the equivalent to a hippie, which was equivalent to not welcome in '69, especially by the older crowds. And in the beginning, he almost in the beginning, he makes this clear right away. Their first night driving, they go up to a hotel and the guy won't let him in and won't give him a room and puts the no vacancy sign on, and then they have to leave and then go sleep out in the wild on cushions or whatever. So this movie is absolutely a commentary on that. So when the biker culture, I guess when the biker culture was starting back then, it was equivalent, it was connected to the hippie culture, and so that's why it was so frowned upon. And what I find interesting, I wrote a note about this, but I don't remember where I wrote a note about this. What I find interesting is that nowadays it's completely different. I think the Hells Angels made a huge difference in the way Americans look at bikers, and I don't want to go too much into that. My dad did work for the Hells Angels, so he was associated with them, but I don't think he was ever a Hells Angel, but he was associated with them. Anyway, what I do know is I think they changed how America views bikers, and nowadays, especially someone like me, a big guy who a lot of times has facial hair but doesn't always, bald head or even long, guys with long hair, that look, that whole biker look, because I do have the biker look, whereas there's a lot of people who ride bikes that don't. That biker look is almost like revered, admired, and feared nowadays. Am I someone to fear? Absolutely not. Me? No way. Anybody who knows me knows that I'm not someone to be feared. I mean, if you fuck with me, then yes. But I'm very open-minded. I'm very, I'm absolutely open-minded, very empathetic, very, my brother once told me I'm the most compassionate person he's ever met. So, I'm not that person, but ask people. I challenge you, ask people. Don't fuck with somebody's bike. Why? Because they're hard asses. They'll kill you. They'll shoot you. They'll fuck with you. They love their bike. Blah blah blah. So that there is a fear in that culture from America nowadays. So it's very interesting for me growing up in the culture a little bit, and then now being a biker in the 2000s, and then watching this movie from '69 and going, the relationship from normal people to the bikers is like completely different. And it came through in the film. I was like, wow. Oh, the rancher. In the very beginning, the rancher. Oh my God, I'm 34 minutes in. I'm sorry. So the rancher in the beginning, their first stop, or their second stop, because the first stop was like, it doesn't matter. So the rancher in the beginning, you can tell that Wyatt admires this guy. And that's why I say Wyatt is a very free, chill guy. someone that I can relate to. He's not the rebel that Billy is, and you can tell by that first interaction with that rancher. Like, he's like, you have a great place here with your family, and like you're living off the land. He appreciates that freedom. He really actually admires that freedom. He's on the bike because he wants to be free. And it's an amazing feeling of freedom being on that bike on the highway. Absolutely. I can definitely attest to that. And the rancher's wife is gorgeous, and she's not an Angelina Jolie. She's just a gorgeous native woman, or she might even be Mexican. I think she's native, but I'm not 100% sure. But she's just beautiful, and I don't think she even says a word. But it shocked me. I was like, wow, she's gorgeous. I would love to take that ride. I wrote a note, and the countryside that they see, I would love to take a cross-country ride. A lot of my family's in Indiana, and I'm in Los Angeles, and I have thought a couple of times about taking a couple of weeks off of work and literally just taking a ride, seeing a couple of things, and going out to Indiana, seeing them, and then coming back. I mean, I think that would be fun. The commune that they first go to, I'm assuming, they never say that it's a commune, but I'm assuming it's a commune. It's in the middle of nowhere, and the bunch of hippies out there. Wyatt is so at ease, Captain America, Wyatt, Peter Fonda. He's so at ease there. Like, those are kind of his people because he's chill, and he's like, go with the flow and love and respect everybody and respect the earth. And they're so like that. And the funny thing is, Billy is not. He is like the exact opposite. He is so opposite that he is uncomfortable there. He even tells him, I got to get out of here. I got to get out of here. He is so uncomfortable in that commune. And I find it interesting that, Wyatt and Billy are like, you got to say they're best friends. I mean, they are riding across country with each other. They did a coke deal in the beginning, and then they're going across country with this money. They've got to be best. You've got to trust that guy. They've got to be friends. They're friends. And these guys are completely opposite. The opposite attracts. They're not a couple, obviously, but they are absolutely like I would say like best friends almost. And it's just interesting how stark contrast those two characters are completely opposite each other, and it's beautifully represented throughout the movie. But the commune is like one of the first ones where you get the idea that Peter Fonda's cool and chill. I mean, it really drives it home, and then Dennis Hopper is like a rebel and free and a jokester, and he is just so uncomfortable there. I found that interesting. So when they leave the commune, I was thinking, is this an editing choice or is this an editing error? Excuse me. So when they're about to leave the commune, Billy is so uncomfortable there. He's like, we gotta go, man. And Wyatt is so cool and chill at ease. And he's talking to like the head of the commune that they gave a ride across a couple of states. They gave him a ride to the commune. And he's more, you can tell he's more or less the head of the commune. Anyway, Wyatt is chatting with him, and he says, and this line's good, I'm hip about time, but I just gotta go. I'm hip about time, but I just gotta go. And it is literally like, they don't give a beat or anything. I gotta go, and literally you're in the next scene, and there's loud band music playing, and you're on the street in a parade. Now, if I were directing, I don't know if the editor did this on purpose to jar you, to get you to realize there's like a huge difference between the two scenes, and in part the two guys. Did the editor do it on purpose? Did Dennis Hopper want this to happen, or is it an error? Like, I would have thought that's a great line from Wyatt. I dig time, but I just gotta go. And that scene, and if I were the director, I love that line so much, I would love to give a beat or two. Stay still, give a beat or two, no audio, no nothing, there's no soundtrack, and then go into the next scene. So I don't know. Again, I'm not a director, but I just found that jarring. Maybe that's the point. There's no beat. I gotta go, and then boom, you're listening to loud band music. You're like, whoa, and they're in their parade. I was a little shocked by that. Okay, so Jack Nicholson. Okay, I love Jack. I do Jack impersonations. A lot of my friends love my Jack impersonations. He's an icon, a legend in film. But 1969, not many people knew him. Not many people knew. I'm going to look him up right now. Not many people he hadn't done. And I'm gonna look him up right now because I'm not about to get like 20 people saying, oh yeah, he did do stuff before that. He did plenty of stuff before that. He did a lot of little stuff. A lot of TV, one episode here, one episode there. Who knows if he was background or if he was actually saying something. He did a couple of things, not a lot. Couple of episodes, okay, not a lot. So, and I've never heard of any of these. More TV. Okay. I'm pretty sure. So I saw a YouTube video. I watch YouTube videos a lot. Not promoting anybody, but I am saying I do watch a lot of YouTube videos. And there was one that was talking about Jack and his iconic, like how he became a legend in Hollywood. And this is 1969, one of his earliest films. And so you're talking pre 5 Easy Pieces, pre Chinatown, pre Shining, pre anything that you can think of that is iconically Jack Nicholson. Okay? This is before all of that. Nobody really knew that Jack Nicholson. And if you look at the acting before him, not just him, but other people in other films, he shook shit up. Why? Because he took his crazy personality and put it on film. And it's brilliant. I keep saying, I didn't use that a whole lot today. Brilliant. Jack Nicholson is amazing. And in this, like as soon as he hits the screen, you're totally like hooked on this character, even though we've gone cross country with Fonda and Hopper. Jack Nicholson commands like pay attention to me, and it's amazing. It's amazing. I mean, like I said, from the first scene, and from that first scene in the jail, the quality of the film completely changes. You can tell by the close-ups. Jack's close-up is so clear and crystal and still, and Hopper between the jail door, the bars, you can see him clear, crystal clear, still. And up until that point, a lot of the film had been gritty, grainy, movement. So not only does we're introducing this amazing, like, stark contrast character, this amazing character, but we are also changing the feel of the film and the look of the film. It's like, whoa, wait, where did this come from? I think it's amazing. It's not just Jack that's amazing, but what Hopper did in the changing of the film and what you see is great. I said that. I said that. He's a legend. Yeah, he's absolutely a legend. I love that when he takes the drink and I mean, that's what I'm talking about, being a loose cannon. That's what I'm talking about, like taking a character and just making it your own. That I'm assuming that was not written. I can almost guarantee you that was not written. When he takes the drink and he's like, oh my God, it's like, where do you get that? I equate that with, okay, one of these days I'm going to review it, so I don't want to talk too much about it. But The Shining, when he's at the bar and it was 3 goddamn years ago. The fucker spread on me, papers on the floor. I mean, the way he does that, the way his expression, his facial expression, and every little thing that he does, it's like, it really is rebel acting. He's bringing something to the screen we've never seen before, not just by other actors, but just in general. Stephen King didn't write the character that way. I'm sure Kubrick didn't write the character that way. Hopper and the guys who wrote this didn't write Peter Fonda, didn't write it that way, but he brought something to that character that blew that character up on screen. And that's why Jack is a legend. Not only is he comes to fucking rehearsals prepared, like 1,000% prepared. I remember when I did Hamlet and came to rehearsal number 1, I was memorized, and my coworkers, my fellow actors just hated me. Like, what the fuck? You come to rehearsal number 1 memorized? I say, yeah, because look how many lines I have. Of course I'm going to be memorized. And I don't want to have to think about the lines. I want to think about what the director wants me to do. I want to think about where I'm supposed to be on stage. Stage acting is different than film acting, but Jack does that. Come to rehearsal, know your lines, know what you're doing, because you don't want to fuss around with that when you're worried about what is the director going to want from me? Where is the director going to want me? That's what I want to know when I'm on set. I don't want to have to think about my lines or what I have to say or what I have to do. I want to have all that figured out. And then if the director wants to change that, let it be. And then I can change, I can adjust, I can change, that's fine. But I don't want to have to think about what my line is or what my character is when I'm getting direction from a director, even in a rehearsal, especially in a rehearsal. So anyway, I mean, he's fucking amazing. And then what cracks me up, and I didn't remember it. I honestly did not remember it from watching it the first time. What cracks me up is when he's like, he wanted to go with them to Mardi Gras, and they're like, do you have a helmet? And he goes, I've got a helmet, and it's a view, and he's got a fucking football helmet. I had to pause the movie. I was like, what the fuck? He's wearing a high school, like, old. You're talking, this movie was made in 1969, so it's not the football helmets we know today. Like an old jock strap, fucking strap, chin strap, football helmet painted gold. I cracked up. I couldn't believe it. I was like, really? He was right. It was a doozy of a fucking helmet. And then that first scene, this is another example of why Hopper is just like, he's a rebel and he's fucking crazy. Especially back then. I'm assuming in that movie he was probably in his 20s. And he is, that scene right after they pick Jack Nicholson up, he's wearing the fucking helmet and they're going across country. So here's the thing. We have great scenes to further the story, and then in between them, Hopper does these great riding scenes where you're just riding across country and all they're showing is them riding, and you've got a song playing and they're playing with each other. They're riding like this, they're riding like that, they're moving around. He has these great scenes and he does it like a dozen times. They're beautiful. Like, this is the transition, them being on the bike, them riding. And this transition scene happens to be, I mean, Hopper's doing some crazy fucking shit that I would never do in my entire life. He does like a 1 foot on the seat. He gets up on the seat while they're riding, hands 1 foot on the seat, and then put 1 foot back. And I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? That would scare the hell out of me. So it just gives you an idea, like Peter Fonda's character, Wyatt, Captain America, whatever, he would never do that. Never. So Hopper is brilliant in constantly showing you the contrast between the two characters, and yet they're best buds, they're partners. God dang, he's crazy. And then the first night they stop with Jack Nicholson, and he doesn't know anything about pot. What? That's grass? Like, oh, no, I'll stick with my drink. Like, I don't want to get hooked on that. So, I said before, here I am drinking alcohol, and I'm saying, so I said before, alcohol is man-made, and it's clinically very damaging to the body. I know that. My dad died, and on the certificate, one of the causes of death is alcohol abuse. So I know alcohol is very damaging. There is no scientific proof that marijuana is at all damaging to the system. It's natural. For that matter, mushrooms and ayahuasca as well. But this first scene, they camp out with Jack Nicholson and they offer him a joint. He's like, no, I'll stick with my alcohol. He was in jail for being drunk, so he's an alcoholic. He's like, I'll stick with my alcohol because I hear that marijuana just leads to it's horrible and it leads to other drugs. Wow. I remember hearing that as a kid too. Like, what the fuck is up with American culture trying to tell people that something natural literally grows in nature and natural is damaging and leads to other drugs, and yet alcohol is not? Alcohol leads to other drugs. Alcohol is man-made. It's fermented. It's not natural. And it's clinically proven to be damaging to the body. So it's a shock to hear that and to see that on film and just be like, wow. Like nowadays you watch films and, people are smoking cigarettes, which are even worse for you. People are smoking cigarettes and they're smoking pot and they're doing drugs and nobody ever really says that. But back in 1969, that was the thought. Hippies smoke, black people and hippies smoke grass and it's bad for you and it leads to other drugs. And what a shock. Wow, why can't we tell the truth? Alcohol is way more damaging, and it's technically, in California, marijuana is legal now, but, in a lot of the country, it's not, and yet alcohol is for a certain age, and tobacco is, tobacco's natural, but what the industry has done to it is damaging. Anyway, I found that such a shock. And that same camping scene, Hopper looks up and sees, the lights or whatnot, and that line, that was a UFO beaming back at you. Yeah, I love that line. It's so amazing, and what Nicholson's character Harrison has to say about UFOs. Like, there's a lot of YouTube videos nowadays about the government. I'm not going to go off too much on a tangent, but the government, hiding a lot of stuff about beings from places that are not Earth, and ships and technology. People are not paying attention because for so many years, the media has said, this is stupid, this is crazy, no way. And then now there's actually evidence that we've had proof of it. And the conversation that Harrison has in this film about that is brilliant and way ahead of its time. 1969, and he's talking about how the government knows all about it. They won't say anything. Why? Because it'll freak the American public out. That's why we don't say anything about it. That's the whole reason. We can't freak everybody out. Brilliant scene. Brilliant dialogue. I don't know who wrote that. The writers are Peter Fonda, Dennis Hopper, and Terry Southern. I don't know which one of them wrote that or if they all three wrote that, but that is brilliant. It's amazing. Wow. I was shocked. Like I said, I don't remember this movie very well. I was shocked by that. And then right after that, the transition scene where they're riding again. Very few times I can remember Bones, the TV show Bones. When I watch Bones, every once in a while, or even Smallville, when I watch Smallville, every once in a while there would be a song. I'm like, what is that song? Hey Siri, what is that song? Like, and I got to download it. I love that song. Not very often in a movie does that happen. Not very often. And the feel, the bass, this song, I'd never heard of it before. If 6 Was 9 by Jimi Hendrix, in the middle of the movie, cuts the movie in half, and you get this feeling and this energy from that song. It's oh my God, I've never heard this song and I love it. And I was like, I need to download this. I downloaded it. And the last time I can remember doing that, not only downloading a movie from, a song from a movie, but feeling that same energy and that same split. Like this is the middle of the movie. We're moving on from here. Was Demolition, Mr. Big, the song Mr. Big, when Judah Lewis's character is playing the drums to Mr. Big, and Jake Gyllenhaal's character like gets into the groove and really like that solidifies their relationship in the film. I love that movie, and I'll probably review it at one point, so I don't want to say too much about it, but that part really solidifies their relationship, which turns into something great. I love that relationship between them in Demolition. Demolition is fantastic, very well written. Anyway, that's the way I felt when this If 6 Was 9 happened in this in Easy Rider. Like, whoa, I love this, and I love that. Like, I get that we have come to like the middle. We've come to like, okay, now there's another story that needs to be. We've told the story up to this point. You have an understanding of what's going on. Now we go to where we're headed. Amazing. I love that. So I downloaded that song. So literally when the song ends, they park. Okay, this is hard. So they parked and they walk into this diner. And that diner scene, it's a shock to this day. Like, I mean, I just watched it, 1969, a movie made in 1969. Please don't think that a movie made back then doesn't have anything to say. There are certain movies that were made before you were born that have something to say, and say it well, very well. And that diner scene is amazing, and it's uncomfortable as fucking hell. It's raw, it's real, it's absolutely impacting. Absolutely impacting. When they walk in and the sheriffs are sitting with locals, I don't know where they're at. They never really say. It's rural. You know it's rural. It's in the middle of the country somewhere because they're going from LA to Florida. So it's in the middle of the country somewhere. Don't know. Doesn't matter. But the point is, these two bikers, one of them with long hair, one of them wearing an American flag on his back. His bike is painted like the American flag. And Jack Nicholson, who's with them at the time, who looks clean cut. He looks like almost like a lawyer, but he hasn't shaved in probably a couple of days. So he looks, and he's with them, and he doesn't have his suit jacket on anymore. So he's got suspenders and a t-shirt. So he's obviously with them. It doesn't matter what he fucking looks like. He's with them. And what's scary and what's uncomfortable as hell is the older gentlemen, the older men, and the police officers are like these fucking fags, these fucking hippies, these fucking, biker disgusting, why the fuck are they here? And then literally in the next booth are a bunch of teenage girls, they're like, oh my God, they're so sexy and so hot. And oh my God, they're rebels and great. And like, ooh, I want this one and I want that one. No, I like this one better. And holy shit. That scene, I mean, that scene should be, I mean, why aren't more people putting that scene? I see so many YouTube videos of like the best acting or the best scenes in film, blah, blah, blah. Why haven't I ever seen that scene before? I mean, before seeing this film. I saw this film once and I don't really remember this. And when I saw it this time, I was so shocked and uncomfortable. It literally made me so uncomfortable just watching it. And it's great that, you know, the girls, the young girls, they're clean cut. They're absolutely clean cut. These are not hippie girls. These are in the middle of the country, total, but young. I mean, they're teenage, maybe 20. Maybe. I doubt it, but maybe. And then the older guys with the police officers literally talking about them being fags. I bet they're fags, you know. I bet they're, you know. Wow. And then it's not just them being uncomfortable. So that I did want to say, so the way society treats the bikers, hippies, bikers, fags, and the way they automatically judge them simply because they drove up on motorcycles and the way their hair is cut reminds me of First Blood. If you haven't seen First Blood, please don't think it's just some bullshit action film that Stallone made. Don't think that it's a Rambo movie. It's the first Rambo movie. It's based on a book, and it is amazing. I would go so far as to say it's more of a dramatic action, a dramatic adventure film than an action film, just like this is considered a dramatic adventure film, although this is a little more dramatic and less action, whereas First Blood is a little more action, a little less dramatic, but still, don't think that First Blood is a Rambo movie. Honestly, I hate what Rambo had turned into. I'm not. I enjoy them because they're just fun. I've watched them all. I enjoy them just because they're just fun, but they are completely different from First Blood. Completely different. First Blood has something smart to say. It says it very, very well. And the ending has a great monologue by none other than Sylvester Stallone, who should have gotten a fucking Academy Award for that. Just for that monologue at the end. Anyway, what my point is that the way society treats the bikers is the way in Easy Rider. The way society, the older society, treats the bikers in Easy Rider is the way the older authoritative society treats Rambo in First Blood. Simply because he has long hair, he's got an American flag on his shoulder, and he's a Vietnam vet. And Vietnam vets were, holy shit, treated like shit. Absolutely treated like shit. Just like, you know, hippies were. So it reminded me of that, and it's really, really well done. Like, I believe, you know, First Blood is very, very well done when it comes to that dichotomy, that social interaction. No one is being quiet. No one is being subtle. Those police officers and the older men are literally talking to each other, but they know they're being heard. They're not being quiet. They're saying it on purpose. They want to be heard. They want these guys out. And they eventually leave. They flee. They literally don't eat. They don't get anything to eat. They're like, let's get out of here. And they leave. It's so fucking sad. And watching it made me, like I said, very uncomfortable. It also reminded me that I feel uncomfortable sometimes. And some, like, it depends on where I'm going. Sometimes I feel uncomfortable because I have a rainbow, like, squiggly sticker on the back of my bigger motorcycle, the 19, the Heritage Classic. And I'm like, do I really want to go across country in this country, especially now, post fucking Trump? Do I really want to go across country with a rainbow squiggly on the back of my motorcycle and go visit my family in Indiana, Pence country? That scares me. It honestly scares me. With the politics in this country, with the culture in this country, it scares me to do that. Honestly. And watching this film made me uncomfortable and made me think of that. It absolutely made me think of that. So when they're leaving when they're basically scared, the fuck, like drove out of the fucking tavern or whatnot, and they go to leave. I'm assuming this is an error because we don't see it. Dennis Hopper gets on his bike and then gets off and then fiddles with his jacket, his suede jacket with the tassels. He fiddles with it. He doesn't put it on. Then we see him on the bike. The jacket's over the end. Then we see them driving away and the jacket's nowhere to be found. What happened to the jacket? So that's just a point to say, I do notice sometimes errors first time round. I mean, I saw this once before, but I don't remember it. So I do notice sometimes errors first time around. I don't know what happened to the jacket. The jacket just disappeared. And that's fine. Whatever. I mean, it's not really important. It's just the fact that I picked that up. Freedom. So when they leave the tavern, the diner or whatnot, they don't eat. They go to camp out again. They never stay in a hotel. Why? Because they're not welcome. So they go to camp out again, and Harrison, Nicholson's character, talks about freedom. The reason why they're scared of you, the reason why they don't like you is freedom, and they're not. And why? Because Americans are not really free. But if you tell them that, they will fight you to prove that they are free. It's a fucking amazing monologue. Watch it. If you don't watch the rest of the film, I would say just find that scene and just watch that fucking scene because it's brilliant. It's whoever wrote that. It's true. It's true. And literally right after, what do? The hippies, or excuse me, the older men and the sheriff come and kill them. No, not kill all of them. They kill Harrison, and they beat the shit out of Captain America, Wyatt, and Billy that night. He literally just got through saying, you represent freedom, and that scares them because they're not free. But if you told them they weren't free, they would fight you to prove that they are free. And what happens literally the next beat is they get beat to shit in the middle of the night. They're asleep, and they get attacked by chicken shit fucking, prejudiced assholes in the middle of the country. And it's like, really? All they were bikers, and they left. They didn't bother you. They didn't hurt you. They didn't do anything. They didn't steal anything. They didn't create a ruckus. They weren't doing drugs. They weren't tearing up the town. And you beat the shit out of them and killed one of them. Killed Jack Nicholson. I didn't remember that. I didn't remember Jack Nicholson got killed. I had a feeling that they dropped him off somewhere. I didn't remember. So watching that was a shock. It was absolutely a shock. I can't believe they killed him. And right after that, Billy and Wyatt go into a restaurant, and you see Wyatt taking his time, chill, enjoying the food, and you just see Billy like shoving shit in his face, drinking wine, drinking. Hopper never lets up on the fact that these guys are complete opposite. And I love it. He never lets up that these guys are complete opposite, but opposites attract, and that's why they're together and they're riding buddies. And it doesn't matter who you are. Once you're in the biker culture, once you're a biker and you're riding, you're part of you're part of a brotherhood, sisterhood, personhood, whatever you want to say. You're part of a culture. You're part of a people. You're a rider now. And the fact that these guys are complete polar opposite characters doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. and I love that. And then right after that, they're in that whatever it is. It's almost like a monastery. I mean, I feel like, is it a monastery? No, but they order like they order a couple of prostitutes. I hate the word hooker. It's a prostitute. If that's what you want to do, that's what you want to do. I got nothing against prostitution. So they order a couple prostitutes, but they're waiting in that room that has that statue and that and a couple of like things on the wall, and that's where another one of my favorite lines come in. So get this, if you haven't seen it, what's brilliant is Hopper's sitting back on a bench like type of thing, and he's drinking. We don't know what he's drinking. We're assuming it's beer. So he's drinking, blah 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 blah, and then Peter Fonda's character Wyatt is reflecting. Harrison just got killed the night before. He's reflecting. He's loving life, and he says, if God did not exist, it would be necessary to invent him. Then he sees this statue, and underneath the statue, it's hard to read because it goes, he's walking from the end to the beginning. So it's hard to read, but I went through it slowly, and it says, all paths of glory lead but to the grave. All paths of glory lead but to the grave. No matter what you do, there's a beginning and an end to this life. Then he looks up and sees a poster that says, death only closes a man's reputation and determines if it's good or bad. Death only closes a man's reputation and determines if it was good or bad. So death ends your life. What do people remember you by? And then it's like a split second. Wyatt sees their death. And I don't remember watching this film. It literally is like watching it for the first time. And I was like, holy fucking shit. I knew that they had died, so it was almost like watching it for the first time, but it wasn't because I knew they died. I thought it was Hopper's bike. I thought it was, Billy. I thought it was his bike because I only remember Billy getting killed. I only remember Billy dying. So I thought that Wyatt saw Billy's death. And I was like, holy shit, he was so in the moment, accepting of life, accepting of reflecting on life begins and ends, that he saw Billy's death. But the truth is he saw his death. That's his bike that blows up. I didn't know that until I finished the movie. So he sees his own death while reflecting on that. But that happens 2 scenes later. That happens like 2 scenes later. So that's an amazing scene where I didn't realize that foreshadow was in there. Then the prostitutes come and Wyatt's like, let's just go hang out in Mardi Gras. And they go into Mardi Gras and everything's gritty and almost unseeable gritty. Like super gritty. I'm sure he did it on purpose. It's beautiful. And then they go to the cemetery and they take the acid. I've never taken acid, so I know people who have. I have zero frame of reference for that part of the movie. It's only a couple of minutes. But how Hopper does it, I'm assuming he knows what he's doing. And he's trying to represent a lot of different things there. How you can have a good trip, how you can have a bad trip, because one of the girls is obviously having a bad trip. How you can just live in the moment, which is what Wyatt is doing, and how you think and how you develop. I'm sure there's a lot to that if I had done acid, it would speak more to me, but it doesn't. It almost, but not quite. It almost takes me out of it because I don't have that frame of reference. But it's fine because I get what's going on. I understand what's happening and what they're doing. And they're in Mardi Gras and they're blah, 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 blah. And their goal is to get to Florida. After that scene is So like I said, so we have a scene with dialogue that furthers the story, and then at least a half a dozen or more times in between those scenes, Hopper puts in them riding, chilling out, messing with each other on the road. And so after they've done the acid and they hung out at Mardi Gras, here's this scene where it's the same thing, where they're chilling on the road, and that's what you think it is. Unless you're watching your watch and going, well, the movie's about to end right now. Oh, my thing, the movie's about to end right now. If you're not watching your watch, you have no idea that the movie is coming to a close. You have no idea. You're just watching the movie, and you feel like, okay, this is just another scene, a quick little like transition scene. We're going to go to something next. But then all of a sudden you hear the motorcycle bikes, and you're like, whoa, something's different. And you see them riding, you're like, whoa, something's different. And then the guy's in the truck with the shotgun. And you're like, whoa. Hold on, this just got a little too... What's going on? And then he's like, let's go scare these fucking guys or something like that. He pulls the shotgun down and you're like, whoa, this just got real. How did this just get real like all of a sudden when I thought they just did the acid. They were just chilling at Mardi Gras. Whoa. And they're just on the road. Not hurting anybody, just on the road. And the guy leans out the window and says something to Hopper, fucking long hair or some shit like that. Why don't you cut your fucking hair or something like that? And Hopper flips him off, which is the which scares me about being a biker sometimes. Which is the poster that my dad has on the coffee table. He flips him off, and the fucking guy shoots him. What? I was so shocked. I was so shocked. Shoots him with the fucking shotgun. He goes over, and the guy keeps going. And then Peter Fonda, Wyatt comes back. Oh my God, dude, I'm going to go get somebody. Puts his jacket on him. I'm going to go get somebody. Gets on the bike, takes off. And the guys in the truck come back and shoot Wyatt's bike. He goes off. The bike explodes. I couldn't believe it. I was shocked. You saw at the beginning of the video, I literally was like, and that was only 10 minutes after watching it. What the fuck? It's a very, very well-made film. It's a very, very well-made film. They wrote it well. They did it well. Hopper's, early directing, first directing. I think it's first directing. Wow. It's a hell of a film. And to end like that. Do we see films that end like that now? I mean, I would have to take a minute and think. I'm still a little shocked. I'm honestly, now that I've basically relived it, I'm still a little shocked. It would take me a few minutes. Do we have films that end like that now? That where the end is just so shocking, and then okay, we're done. And not shocking in a positive way, or not shocking the bad guy wins type of thing, but this is disturbing shocking. They didn't do anything wrong. These guys in the truck, these hippies these hillbillies, these guys in the truck, they didn't know them. They had no interaction with them. They're just bikers on the road. One of them had hair that was longer than you thought was, that you thought was acceptable. And then he flipped you off. Why? Because you told him to cut his fucking hair, or you called him a faggot, or I forget what he calls it. But I mean, really? It's just a movie. It's just a movie, but it really does say something, and it's very well done. This video was longer than I thought, because this is a movie that I almost only saw once. I saw twice, and I didn't think that I had that much to say about it, but I did. I liked it. If you haven't seen it, I'm assuming if you haven't seen it, you have not watched this. You have not watched this video, because I gave away a lot of spoilers. And I am so sorry that if you haven't seen it, you got to this point in the video and went, wow, I really want to see it. Well, now don't let that stop you. It's still great. Like, watch the scenes that I talked about. Enjoy them. Do you feel the same way I feel about Jack Nicholson acting? Do you feel the same way I feel about when he talks about UFOs, when he talks about freedom? Do you feel the same way I feel about the ending and that very uncomfortable scene in the diner? Even though I've ruined it for you, can you still watch it and experience what he wanted you to experience? I'd be interested to know. Okay, well, I better end this because it's a little long. See you next time.